On my father's deathbed, he whispered, "I left everything to your stepmother, you get nothing." My stepbrother laughed. "You should have been nicer to us." Budas, the lawyer, read the will. Their smug Zachary vanished because I had a secret of my own that changed everything, Zacharying up in Boston. My life was simple. My mother passed away when I was young, and my father did his best to raise me. He was a hardworking man owning a modest bookstore in Cambridge. Our bond was strong, built on shared memories and mutual respect. When I was 16, he met Isabel, a woman who exuded charm and sophistication. They married within a year, and she moved into our home with her son Zachary. At first, I tried to welcome them, hoping for a harmonious family life, but it quickly became evident that Isabel had no interest in being a mother to me. She subtly manipulated my father, turning him against me. Zachary, following his mother's lead, treated me with disdain. My once warm home became a cold, unwelcoming place. I focused on my studies, seeking solace in academics and dreaming of a future away from the toxicity after high school. I earned a scholarship to Harvard University. I moved into the dorms, immersing myself in studies and part-time jobs. My father rarely visited, always. With excuses, Isabel had successfully driven a wedge between us. Years passed. I graduated with honors and secured a position at a prestigious law firm in New York City. I built a life for myself distant from my father's world. We spoke occasionally, but the conversations were superficial. One evening, I received a call from Isabel. Her voice was cold and detached. "Your father is in the hospital. It's serious." I felt a pang of guilt and rushed back to Boston. At the hospital, I saw a frail man, a shadow of the father. I once knew Isabel and Zachary were ever present, controlling access and information. I spent brief moments with him trying to reconnect, but he seemed distant. Then came the whisper, the revelation that he had left everything to Isabel. The betrayal cut deep, but I maintained my composure. A week after my father's passing, we gathered at the law office for the reading of the will. Isabel and Zachary sat confidently, expecting to hear about their inheritance. The lawyer began. "According to the will, all assets are to be transferred to Isabel." They exchanged smug glances, but the lawyer continued. "There's an addendum." He pulled out another document. "This is a codice signed and notarized superseding the previous will." Isabel's smile faded. "In this document, your father bequeaths the entirety of his estate to his daughter Sophia." I felt a mix of shock and vindication. Isabel stood up shouting, "This is a forgery." The lawyer calmly replied, "It's legally binding. The signatures have been verified." Zachary looked at me with disbelief. "You manipulated him." I remained silent, letting the truth speak. For itself, what Isabel and Zachary didn't know was that my father had reached out to me a month before his hospitalization. He expressed regret over our estrangement and wanted to make amends. We met privately, and he shared his desire to change his will. It connected him with a trusted attorney, and he drafted the new document he wanted to ensure that I was taken care of and that his assets wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. Isabel contested the will, but the evidence was irrefutable. The court upheld the codicil, and I inherited my father's estate. I sold the bookstore, donating the proceeds to literacy programs in Boston. I established a scholarship in my father's name at Harvard, ensuring his legacy would benefit others. Isabel and Zachary faded into obscurity, their plans thwarted after the court ruled in my favor. I thought it was over, but I was wrong. 2 weeks later, I received a certified letter at my apartment in New York. It wasn't from the court or the bank. It was from Isabel's lawyer. Inside was a notice she was suing me fraud, undue influence, emotional manipulation. Zachary had signed an affidavit, claimed. It pressured my dying father, claimed. I forced him to sign papers while drugged and confused. They were going Allen. I called my own lawyer, Liam. He was calm, but firm. They're the Zacharying mud. We just have to prove it's lies. Do you still have the video? Yes. I did. My father had recorded a message the night he signed the new will. I asked him if he wanted to. He said he Wanted it on record, he looked directly into the camera and in his own voice said he was of sound mind and was making the change because I've made mistakes and I want to fix them. Then he said he loved me. I sent the video to Liam, but that wasn't the end. Turns out, Isabel had been busy long before my father got sick while I was in college. She'd taken out a second mortgage on the house without my father knowing. She used it to start some investment business that failed. Then to cover it up, she'd used Zachary's name to open accounts. Credit cards, loans, all hidden behind my father's clean credit. She had built a fake paper trail, and now Zachary was trying to dump all of it on me, claiming I forged the will to hide my own misuse of funds. It was insane. I wasn't even living in the same state when all of this happened. But it got worse. Zachary leaked things to the press, local papers, started sniffing around. They twisted it. Arranged daughter inherits fortune. Stepmother claims foul play. They used pictures from my college graduation. Madame looked like a cold, ambitious girl who came back just in time to get the money. I started getting threats in my inbox. That's when I remembered some things. Strange, 2 months before my dad passed, he'd mentioned a safe box. At the time, I didn't think much of it. But now I needed anything I could use to prove the truth. I flew back to Boston. The house was in my name now, but Isabel had left it a mess. I found the safe box key taped under a loose drawer in my dad's desk. The box was at a small credit union in Somerville. I went alone inside. Where papers, lots of them, letters, bank records, spiral notebook, a flash drive. The notebook had entries. My dad had started writing things down after his health. Got worse. One entry hit me in the gut. Isabel changed the meds. She says the doctor told her to. I don't feel right. Don't trust her. Another, if anything happens to me, please look into her accounts. I think she's been hiding things from me for years. The flash drive it had scanned copies of documents. Some I recognized, some I didn't. But what stood out was a folder named Zachary's Trust. Turns out my dad had set up something for Zachary years ago, a small trust fund. But Isabel had drained it, then doctored the paperwork to make it look like I had gotten the money instead. They were framing me. I gave all of it to Liam, the notebook, the drive, everything. That changed the tone of the case. Now we weren't just defending me, we were accusing them. Liam filed a countersuit, fraud, defamation, elder abuse. Isabel went quiet. Zachary deleted his social media. I stayed low. But I knew this wasn't over, because a week later, I got a call from a reporter in Boston. She said, I know what Isabel did to your dad. I've been following her for years, apparently. Isabel had a past. A sealed divorce, an ex who went missing for 6 months before reappearing in a hospital with no memory of the last year. No one could prove anything, but it followed her now. This reporter wanted to do a full story. I told her no. Not. Yet I needed to protect what little piece I had left. But something told me Isabel wasn't going down quietly. A few days after the reporter's call, I was walking out of a cafe near Back Bay when a man approached me, late 50s, worn coat, limping slightly. He said my name and handed me a folded piece of paper. No hello. No explanation. Then he turned and walked away. The note was short. She did the same thing to Christopher. I tried to warn your dad, meet me tonight. 900p. Mr. Reservoir Park bench near the docks. There was no number, no name. I should have ignored it, but something in me said not to. I went with pepper spray in one pocket and my phone ready in the other. He was already there, sitting on the bench with a bag of fast food. He handed me a greasy napkin to sit on. Name's Evan. I was your dad's friend back when he owned the bookstore. I listened. Evan said. Isabel had a pattern. She found men with decent assets but fractured families. She'd charm them. Move in fast, cut off the closest relatives, then slowly drain everything. She knew exactly how to make it look like love. He said, your dad told me just once that he thought he might have made a mistake, but he was tired. He didn't want to start over again. Then Evan dropped something heavy. Your stepbrother's not her son. I froze. Woda nodded. I don't know who he really is, but I saw her at the courthouse. Years ago, different name, different kid. Same act. I tried to find records, some of it's gone. If this was true, then Zachary, who'd called me stepsister for a decade, was a planted fake the next morning. I checked the files from the flash drive. Again, there was one old scanned photo. I hadn't noticed a school ID card Zachary's. Except the name wasn't Zachary. It was Zachary. Zachary. I looked up the name, nothing in Massachusetts. But in a small town in Pennsylvania, there was a juvenile arrest record for Zachary, a sealed case for fraud and theft at age 14. Same birth date. It was him Isabel had taken. Him changed his name, moved to Boston, and repackaged him. As her son and my dad bought it, I had to know more. I hired a private investigator. 2 weeks later, he called with the bombshell Zachary's real mother died in a psychiatric facility. Isabel was her caseworker. She took the kid, disappeared, and reemerged in Boston as Isabel Barnes, with son Zachary. Nobody ever questioned it. The fraud wasn't just financial. It was deep identity fraud. My father had lived with strangers. Liam showed up at my apartment in person one rainy Thursday. He had a folder and a look I'd never seen on him before. Something between disbelief and fury. There's more, he said. And it's not good. He opened the folder inside. Printed messages, emails between Isabel and a doctor. A neurologist. Isabel had been emailing this doctor, using my father's name. Setting appointments. Asking about drug interactions, requesting prescriptions. But she never took my father to any of those. Appointments she faked being him. Liam said she changed his meds. That's how she kept him confused, distant. It explained everything. Why he'd seemed off in those last months. Why he was so distant. Why he didn't recognize how bad she was. Isabel wasn't just manipulative. She was criminal with everything. Now documented. The fake identity. The forged medical records. The financial theft. Liam took it all to the DA 2 days later. Isabel was arrested. Charges: elder abuse, identity fraud, financial exploitation, medical fraud. Zachary vanished. His apartment was cleared out overnight. His phone disconnected, but the damage was the news spread fast. The same media outlets that painted me as the greedy daughter now called me the victim of Akon. I didn't care. I wasn't interested in headlines. I wanted answers. I wanted to know how long my dad had been suffering in silence, and how I never saw it. Isabel was booked without bail. The courtroom was packed when the trial started. I sat quietly behind the prosecution every day. I looked at her and thought about how she stole years from my father. She never looked back. The DA brought it all: the altered meds, the fake emails, the stolen trust fund, the second mortgage, the identity fraud, and the notebook with my father's own words. The jury was silent every time they played the video of my dad saying he wanted me to have everything. I saw Isabel's jaw tighten. She pleaded, not guilty. Zachary never showed they had an arrest warrant out for him, but he'd vanished. Word was he took cash. Isabel stashed somewhere and fled the country. The defense tried to say my father was confused, and I took advantage. But the video, the safe box, the flash drive, the doctor's testimony, none of it left room for doubt. After 3 weeks, the jury came back guilty on all counts. She didn't even flinch. Just stood there like a statue as the judge sentenced her to 35 years in prison. A month after the trial, I got a call. It was from the investigator I'd hired. We found Zachary. He said, he's in Costa Rica. But there's more. He's using your father's last name, claiming to be his son. He's trying to access offshore accounts. That was the last straw. I flew there myself. Found him at a small resort, pretending to be someone he never was. I didn't tell him I was coming, just walked up and sat across from him at the outdoor bar. His face went white. How did you sit? I said, and listen. He tried to lie. Said Isabel brainwashed him, that he didn't know that he was just a kid when it started. I told him I didn't care. I slide a folder across the table, his records, his photos. Everything we found. You don't exist. Not legally. Not anymore. I've got immigration, the US Embassy, and 3 private firms tracking you. If you so much as touch $1 with my father's name on it, I'll bury you." He looked scared. "I have nothing left," he whispered. "Good." I said, "That's exactly what you gave my dad back home. The estate was mine. The bookstore, the house, the accounts." But I didn't feel like I'd won. I kept thinking about those years I stayed, away the silence between my father and me. I let Isabel push me. Out I let the distance. Zachary. I told myself he chose her, but maybe he didn't really know how deep it went. I should have fought harder. I should have tried. More there's guilt I carry. I'll always carry it. Maybe I was scared. Maybe I was tired. But in the end, I let the wrong people get too close to him. I took that pain and turned it into something. I opened the bookstore, gave it new life, started a community fund for adult literacy. Every book sold goes to the scholarship. I named after my dad. His name is known now for something good, not for the mess she left behind. I visited Isabel in prison once I needed to see her. One last time she sat behind the glass with her fake smile. Gone. No makeup, no jewelry, no charm left. "You won," she said. "No." I replied, "I survived, you lost." Before I ever walked in, she laughed, softly. "You think I care about prison? I got years out of him. I lived like a queen. I leaned in. Then why are you alone?" She didn't answer. I looked her in the eye and said, "You thought stealing money would make you rich, but all it bought you was silence." Then I left. I never went back. It's been 2 years. People still ask me about the case. Vestry made. The rounds, books, podcasts, news articles. I don't do interviews. That part of me is closed, but when I sit in the bookstore at night, I feel closer to me. Dad than I ever did while he was alive. I know now that revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just outliving the people who tried to break you and building something they can never destroy.